Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Ask Matt Lloyd. So today's question, I think this is going to be especially relevant to someone starting out in business for the very first time, and it could possibly save you years and years of going in the wrong direction and making things a lot harder than what they need to be. Okay, so the question comes from Drew in Ireland, and he's asked me, Matt, I want to get into business for the very first time. What advice can you give me? The biggest advice I'm going to give anyone to who's getting into business is number one, choose the right business model, and number two, choose the right market to enter. And part of the reason why I'm answering this question is it's also kind of relevant to what just happened to me a few days ago. So right now I'm in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I'm sitting here in the film studio, and yesterday I got back from Australia, and I'd gone there for a few days to visit my parents' farm. My parents to this very day have a small wheat and sheep farm, which is about a 5-hour drive southwest of Perth in Western Australia. So to this very day, I mean, they're now in their 60s, they're still working away on the farm. So I usually get down there maybe 2 or 3 times a year, and I go there just to kind of relax, wind down a little bit. There's really not much out there. The nearest town has about 15 people in it. That's the town that I went to primary school in. So it's a little bit of a ghost town these days. And every time I go back to the farm, I'm reminded of how critically important it is to choose the right business model. My parents have been on that farm now for close to 4 decades. And to this very day, it's always been an uphill battle. Okay, it's hard work, very little money, and it's not, I mean, unless you really enjoy having your own farm and the lifestyle, it's a very lousy way to make money. It's a very lousy business model, and I'll tell you why, and then I'll tell you what makes a good business model that you might want to get into. So pretend you're a farmer for a second. The way you make your money, if you're kind of like my parents, is you plant your crop. So my parents, it's wheat, lupins, for example, canola, barley, different grains. So wheat, for example, same kind of wheat that you might have in your Wheat Bix if you're from Australia, or in your cereal, that's what they're growing. So they plant that, and the farm is about 8,000 acres. Now, for some of you, that might seem like an enormous amount of land, but where they are, it's not really that much at all. It's considered a small to an average size farm. Okay, land is very cheap out there. It's not like, obviously it's not like in the city. Okay, so they plant the crop, and it takes the better part of a year to fully grow until it's ripe for harvest, which is what they're doing right now. They just started harvest a week ago. Now, in between the time of planting the crop and harvesting and actually getting the grain that you can then go and sell and get paid, a number of factors can go wrong. The biggest factor is weather. Okay, you don't know what's going to happen with the weather. Okay, so if you don't get enough rain like they didn't have this year, then the crop isn't going to produce enough grain and high enough quality grain. So you're not going to make as much money. So you're at God's mercy really as to how the weather is going to be. If it's a lousy year, rainfall and timing and things like that, then you don't get paid, and you can't control that variable. If you go into business, you don't ever want to have someone else or a variable between you and you getting paid that is not controlled by you, okay, or that you can't influence. Now, you can't influence the weather, so that already puts you in a lousy situation. Another thing that can go wrong is you can have frost like they had this year. If it's too cold in the morning, the grain, when it's developing, it doesn't fully develop. So when you come and harvest it, the heads, the flowers, I mean, they're half empty. Okay, so you don't get as much yield. So there's so many different things that can go wrong. The other lousy part about a farm as a business model is it's very capital intensive. Okay, if you want to put in a crop, I mean, you've got the trucks, you've got the tractors, you've got the headers, the combine harvesters, whatever you want to call them. Chemicals, you know, you've got to, if you want to have a big farm and, you know, you don't want to have too many weeds, you've got to spray your crops and chemicals, hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions sometimes. Fertilizer can be in the millions. there's so much money that you outlay at the start of the year, and most farmers, the vast majority of farmers, it's not their money, it's the bank's money, because they don't have enough money. So they're doing these enormous loans in order to put the crop in the ground, okay? And they then get paid at the very end of the year. Now that's a lousy way to operate a business. What you always want to do is you want to be getting paid up front. Before you do the work, you get paid. I actually have a client here today. I mean, he got here a few days ago. He has invested over $100,000 with our business, various programs. One of the programs includes consulting, which I'm going to do tomorrow with him, a good half a day of consulting. I'm going to help him make a product and other things, and also launch it and sell it and so on. But with my interaction with that customer, I get paid up front before I do the work. Okay, so if I don't get paid, then I don't do the work. I insist on always getting paid up front. That's how you want to get paid in business. You don't want to be getting paid a year later and there's 20 different things that can go wrong that you don't even control that can determine whether you get paid or not. That's a lousy business model. Okay, so again, you know, you've got to be very careful about which business model you choose. The only reason why people choose a business model like farming, for example, is because they love the lifestyle. I mean, I do enjoy it. You know, I get to go home to the farm. I went for a run one night and I got up really close to a wild kangaroo, which was strange. In 28 years, I've never got so close to a wild kangaroo. So I don't know why I'm mentioning that, but having experiences like that you would never have in the city, then fine, it's great to be on a farm. But if we're talking about a business model, it's a lousy business model. So let me tell you about what a good business model is. A good business model, number one, you get paid up front. Number two, your cost of fulfillment is low. So you have optimal margins, okay? You have big, wide, healthy margins. You don't want to have 2 or 3% margins, okay? You want to have big profit margins, maybe 30, 40, even 50% if possible, okay? With an online business, when I say online business, I'm talking about something like affiliate marketing, where you're promoting other people's products, services, live events. For example, let's say you're a Mob affiliate. If you're promoting other people's stuff, then number one, you don't even have to do the fulfillment. They do all the fulfillment for you. They do all the customer service for you. And you get paid, okay? You get paid before that fulfillment actually happens. So you're getting paid fast, okay? You're not having to wait an entire year to get paid. The other thing is it's extremely scalable. I have seen affiliates in Mob, and this applies to any affiliate marketing, not just Mob, but I've seen affiliates go from making a few $1,000s a month to $50,000, $100,000 a month within a year. That's extremely doable with affiliate marketing, okay? Because the model is so scalable. As you scale, you can double from one month to the next, especially if it's not your company that you're promoting, it's someone else's, and you're just getting paid the commissions. You can't do that with a lot of other business models, whether it's a farm, whether it's a brick and mortar business. Let's say you have a hairdressing salon or something like that. It's very hard for you to double consecutively from month to month to month in those early days. I mean, it can happen, but it's very hard to do. With an online business, because your fulfillment cost is so low, because often it's digital products, it's really not any harder to fulfill on 100 digital products as opposed to just 50. Okay, so it's very scalable. When I started Mob, that's part of the reason why I love the business model. It's very scalable, and I knew that I could grow it very, very fast. And in a way, it was kind of accident as well. I wasn't back then. I wasn't thinking about business models and a farm business model and other business models. I kind of fell into it by accident, but it was a very good accident because it's a great business model. Okay, so to answer the original question, if you're thinking about getting started in business, give some real thought to which business model you get into. Get one where you get paid up front, cost of fulfillment is low, margins are high, and it's extremely scalable. Second part of the question is, what niche do you go into? Okay, so once you've chosen the right business model, let's say it's it's affiliate marketing, then what niche are you going to go into? You know, do you go into the weight loss niche? Do you go into the aging and beauty niche? Do you go into the make money niche? Whatever that is. So you've got to choose what niche. I like being in the business to business niche. In other words, selling training consulting to business owners because number one, you can get much higher prices. Okay, think about it. If you're selling training to a business owner, that's going to show them how to increase their revenue by 10%. Okay, let's say the training is on adding in an upsell process into their current customer acquisition process. And you have that training and it works. And they're already making, let's say they're already making $500,000 per year. And you come along and you offer that training to them. If that's going to increase their revenue by 10%, which is going to be an extra $50,000 per year, do you think that you can make the reasonable argument that your training is worth at least $10,000? Of course you can. Okay, you can do that because you can show that the increased value once they implement that training is going to be worth a lot more to them than the price that you're asking them to pay, 10 grand. So that's why I like being in the business training niche because you can get much higher prices. And it's not just that, it's also because the products, once they're applied, or the training, once applied, it is very valuable. You know, if you can help a business get to the next level and increase their revenue, it is extremely valuable to them as well. Plus, I just like working with entrepreneurs. For the most part, they are optimistic people and they're a pleasure to be around. Some other niches, you can't say that about the customers. So for me, as far as choosing what niche to go into, I like the business training niche. I think it's a great niche. So if you combine the right business model, the right niche, then you have a recipe for success and everything is much easier. The final part I would like to leave on this is, you know, if anyone's looking at my results in Mobe, they sometimes incorrectly think it's because of maybe some brilliance or intelligence that as much as I would love to take credit for, that's often not the full reason why I've been able to get good results. One of the main factors has been I chose the right business model and I chose the right niche. You know, so even though my company right now might do many times what my parents' farm, for example, as a company does in revenue, it's not that I'm 50 times smarter or anything like that. I'm clearly not. It's just that I chose the right business model and the right niche. Okay. So it's not anything else. Maybe a few small things, but mainly it's those two things. And I just wish that I could go to every business owner who's thinking about getting into business and just share this lesson that I've just shared with you because I believe that it could save people decades of just struggle with the wrong business model. You know, if you're in business to make money and to live this lifestyle, then it's just so important that you choose the right business and the right niche right from the start. Okay, so that's enough rambling for today, but make sure you think about those two things before you even start in business. Hopefully that helps you. Speak soon.